Good evening and welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting for today, Thursday, December 5th. I'm Councilwoman Ty Atkins, President of the Gary Common Council, representing the 4th District and the Chair of the Ways and Means Committee. Joining me tonight, I have the following members of the Gary Common Council: Vice President of the Gary Common Council, representing the 1st District, Lori Latham; Representative of the 2nd District, Councilman Halliburton; our 5th District Councilwoman and Parliamentarian, Linda Barnes-Caldwell; and our newly appointed Councilman at Large, Ken Winsington. We have a number of ordinances on the agenda for tonight. Members of the public, we have about 8 ordinances that we will review, so we will try to be as concise as possible to streamline this process. I will read the ordinances in the order that we will review them tonight in its entirety. CPO 2024-68, an ordinance submitting ordinance number 9604, approving an ARPA spending plan out of public health and negative economic impacts category, including demolition of blighted properties within the Transportation Development District. CPO 2024-69, an ordinance for the City of Gary Lake County, Indiana, authorizing additional appropriations for the American Rescue Plan Act Fund 2487 for demolition of blighted properties within the Transportation Development District under public health and negative economic impacts. CPO 2024-70, an ordinance amending ordinance number 9604, approving an ARPA spending plan out of public health and negative economic impacts category for the new animal shelter facility. CPO 2024-71, which is an ordinance for the City of Gary, Lake County, Indiana, authorizing additional appropriations for the American Rescue Plan Act Fund 2487 for a new animal shelter facility under public health and negative economic impacts category. CPO 2024-73, an ordinance revising appropriations for the purpose of defraying the expenses of the Motor Vehicle Restricted Fund of the City of Gary, Indiana, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time when the same shall take effect. CPO 2024-74, an ordinance accepting a grant from Indiana Department of Transportation to the City of Gary for purposes of street paving and establishing 2024 appropriations in the Community Crossings Fund for NDOT and the City of Gary matching funds of the City of Gary, Indiana, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time when the same shall take effect. CPO 2024-67, an ordinance amending ordinance number 9446, approving reductions in the ARPA spending plan for various approved items. CPO 2024-77, an ordinance for the City of Gary, Lake County, Indiana, authorizing additional and reductions and appropriations for the American Rescue Plan Act Fund 2487 for various programs. All of those ordinances are in fact sponsored by our Mayor, Eddie D. Melton, as well as our City Controller, Mrs. Salita Green. I know in the beginning of the commentary, I stated that we will review those in the order that I will display them out. However, I'm going to ask that we do them in a different order. I do want to review CPO 2024-76 first, and then we will proceed with 68, 69, and the subsequent ones in that order. So right now, let's do 2024-76, colleagues, which should be in your pack already. Our overview at this time will probably be by our controller.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, committee members.
Good evening.
Madam Chair, we're asking to do a revision to 2024-76. The amount that you received has been reduced. If I can do the reduction, is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what we've done is we've removed the summer youth program, which we were initially going to delete that amount and redistribute it, but we're going to keep that amount in for the program, the summer program. Also, for the first responders, there was like 1.4 million. We were going to remove that, but we're also leaving those funds for a new program. So the amount now is $21,555,027.37 of the original plan that we are requesting to reduce. And the reason that we're requesting to reduce it is we would like for the plan to agree with the actual appropriations.
Okay. Well, I'll ask my colleagues first. Is that the completion of the overview, Ms. Salita?
Yes.
Okay. Colleagues, any questions? Comments? Councilwoman Latham?
I'm sorry, Controller Green, I just don't understand.
Okay, so I have a spreadsheet. One of the first things that I did earlier this year, because there were a lot of questions about ARPA, was to pull all the ordinances that had been approved, either for the plan or for the appropriations. So the plan was $91 million, but some of those things were not appropriated. There was a plan for it, but it was never appropriated. So the amount that was appropriated, we wanted to agree with the plan. So that's the reason we're reducing 21,555,27. So we'll have an even playing ground, meaning that the plan would then agree with the appropriations. I'm sorry.
The reduction is coming from the plan or the appropriation?
For
Which
the
one
plan
was
right
over?
now. For the
Okay.
plan right now.
Okay.
Okay.
And our plan was $91 million?
91 million.
I thought that the number of, I thought the amount of dollars in ARPA was about 80.
It was 80 million, and I don't know for sure why it was more, except that some of the plans that were approved were later not appropriated for various reasons.
Is that,
I think I understand. So we planned for 91, well, we probably originally planned for like $80 million, but then since some of that money wasn't appropriated, we added additional plan money.
Yes.
Or added additional money to the plan.
For another plan.
Yeah.
But then go back
But then, and do the
remove other,
appropriation.
yes.
And so now we're matching up the plan and the appropriation by reducing the plan by
Yes.
21.5 million.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
thank you, Vice President Latham. Any other colleagues, questions, or comments? In control, Councilman Weston?
Yes, thank you. So to expand on what Councilman Latham was going towards, I just want to get a better understanding of, so from my own understanding, $91 million is what we had initially planned to appropriate.
Yes, so during the 2 years, there were ordinances that were approved for plans. But, and because I wasn't here the whole time, I can estimate that probably what happened is later it was determined we don't want to appropriate. We don't want to do this plan. So what we're doing now is for any plans that were not appropriated, we're removing them.
Okay. And with that, reducing by 21 million, original plan was 80,000. So this puts us at approximate appropriation of 70 million, correct?
We are at 65 million,
Okay.
838,892.
All right. So about like 14.2 million shy of, got you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. And I can provide some additional context. This popped in my head, Controller Green, and I don't know if this was the case, but I think what happened was, Mr. Cinder, hey, Mr. Cinder. He's one of my favorite people. He's here in the audience. And Mr. Cinder, I'm not sure if this is true, but I think what happened on our end is previously within finance. I think that we incorrectly accounted for the 10.1 million that we utilized from the general fund payback that we did for, what was it, insurance?
Okay, okay, I see what you're saying. So out of the lost revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that because even my mind was thinking that that's extra money, but it's not, right?
Right.
It's not extra. And so I don't know if that's correct, but even when I was just looking at the numbers, I think that that's where that extra 10, where it's like basically you overplanned for $10 million because we were counting that double. And it, for lack of a better phrase, right? When you can't, you have to consider that you have to take that 10 out of part of your 80, if that makes sense. And also, Controller Green, Mr. Senator, do you want to add anything or correct anything?
I was just going to say that originally, maybe the council did approve some of these projects in the plan,
Yeah, I
but
was
never
gonna say
did
that.
the appropriations. And
Yeah.
so now we want to, since the projects are not moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
I believe in order to clean up the ordinances, we want to remove them from the plan now.
So that was going to be my next comment for context. Thank you, Mr. Sender, for the layup. All of these, the council actually did in fact approve from a plan perspective. And we were waiting on the previous administration in some cases to actually do the allocation of the appropriation. In some cases, the appropriation was actually done, but the project was never executed. And given the situation, this administration has identified optimal ways to still do some of this work. So I want to be clear that some of this will not be lost. One specific project will be the sidewalk program. Though it says 50-50, that technically was not planned to be 50-50. We just called it that because historically that's what we called it within the city, right? So we were looking at different variations, 80%, 20, 90, 10, or 100%. But I want the public to know if in fact they do read this ordinance that this program and initiative won't be lost. There's just different ways that we know that we can go ahead and factor this into our infrastructure plan, working with our city controller and the administration. And the same thing with the One Love project. That was a project to support the Goodson Park initiative. And again, we did in fact receive funding from the county to do that. So a lot of these have not been fully lost. We just have been able to fund them differently, obtain different resources to get them. And then some of the projects, we have decided not to do them because it's not optimal at this time. And so this is a way for us to really clean up, to actually see what we truly have in terms of money and opportunity for the Melton administration to fund. And that's why I wanted to do this ordinance first, because the balance of the ordinances that we have on the agenda is to now, how are we going to reallocate the money that we do have to get our spending plan done by the deadline, which is December 31st of this year. So I'm going to ask Controller Green and Mr. Sender to tap in fact, if I did not articulate that correctly, but I just wanted to provide my colleagues and the public with that additional information.
Yes, you definitely did. And another one, the down payment assistance, that is one that was never appropriated, but the plan was there. So you'll see where in one of the ordinances that's coming up later, where we have restructured how that's going to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments, colleagues? We didn't have any members of the public who signed up to speak for or against these. Do we have to do public hearings for the ARPA ordinances?
No, we don't have public hearings. Well,
no?
we just do them when we do regular public hearings, right?
I don't know why I'm,
Yeah.
okay, we don't.
We do it like the regular ones
Okay.
that we do. I
Okay.
believe.
I don't know why I got caught up right there. Okay, thank you. So seeing no additional discussion points, thank you all for the overview. And we, of course, will move forward on this for next Tuesday for review. At this time, we'll move to the top of the agenda, to CPO 2024-68. This is respective to the ARPA spending plan for the Blighted Properties Initiative and the TDD.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the committee.
Good evening.
This ordinance is being amended to ask for an additional $2 million of the $1 million that was already appropriated with the phase one of the TDD match, the match of the $3 million. So we're asking for an additional $2 million. So that will get us to maximize the $12 million for the demolition.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs. And I can provide some additional context as well for this one.
Thank you.
To just help the plot here. So I don't have the date in front of me, Controller Green. I don't have your chart, but council had approved $1 million to go towards blight probably about 2 years ago when we first got the first onset of the $40 million, like the first payment from the ARPA funds from the U.S. Treasury Department. Over the years since that appropriation as well as the spending plan was done, it wasn't actually expensed. No work had been done towards that effort. As we know, the Melton administration, I believe in April, as early as April of May or March of this year, had an initiative to do a blight elimination program, which is going to help tackle a lot of the disdained properties, right, that we have across the city, and there's a strategy in terms of areas of focus, et cetera. And within that, it was a $3 million match, I believe, right, Mr. Suggs, that the city had to put towards that. We have support from Hard Rock, if you all remember, towards this initiative as well. And within that, the Melton administration has asked us to put an additional $2 million towards the $1 million that we had already appropriated 2 years ago to support our full amount of our put in from the city perspective to get this moving. So just again, wanted to provide some additional context in terms of the timeline, and this effect will help us provide the full amount that the city is obligated to put in towards that effort. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to give everybody their credit. I think the RDA was also a part of that initiative as well. And so this is a collective effort to get movement within the city to tackle our blight elimination. And Alex Dalton, who's here in the audience, I hope he wrote that note down. I know he asked about that as well. Thank you. So just wanted to help that out. Any additional questions or comments, colleagues? Okay. Seeing none, we will just move forward in the program. Again, thank you, Mr. Suggs, for that context. This will be reviewed on Tuesday for third and final. CPO 2024-69 is in fact the appropriation for that one as well. So as we know, ARPA spending plan ordinances require complementary appropriation ordinance for the same project. So Mr. Suggs, I'll just ask if there's any additional information that you want to put towards this one. At this time, we could do that.
I do not.
Okay. So I'll do it quickly. So 69, again, is just the appropriation for the exact same project in AGS. I believe this will be focused on the TDD area, the Transit
Correct.
Development District areas where this blight elimination project will be a focal point. Emerson, downtown, Gary, on the east side, as well as the west side. Is within the lines. I think it goes all the way far back to, on the west side. Is it close to Methodist Hospital?
I think it's close to Horseman.
Horseman area, Horseman Methodist area. So it does in fact cover a large geographic area of the city. And that's it. I think the only quick amendment that we should probably make on 68, if I can go back real quick, there was a $ in front of the ordinance number. We should just make sure that's removed on the second whereas line. And then we also should probably add the date that ordinance number 9542 was approved by the council. That might be great context to add. But again, colleagues, just a complimentary ordinance. And for the record, Councilwoman Marion Ivy has joined the body. Okay. Seeing now, we'll move forward in the program. CPO 2024. Councilwoman, or do you all have any questions, comments?
I did have one quick question.
Okay, you have to be just acknowledged. Councilman Winsington.
Thank you so much, President. I appreciate you. Not to be a bother, but I'm just curious, do we have an idea of visually what that $2 million will look like to eliminate blight in that corridor? Like a unit count by chance, or what that may look like, just for our citizens who may be curious as to how far $2 million goes in construction.
Yeah, the total of 12 million, we do have an idea, but
Okay.
as far as itemizing down to the 2 million addition, I don't think I have those numbers.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's a good point. The total project is 12 million. The 3 million is just the portion that the city of Gary is obligated to put towards the initiative. So the total is 3 from us, and those other entities are also putting up 3 as well, right? And isn't it, how many years is it? Isn't it for 3 years or 4 years? What was the obligation? I can't remember what the details were. I don't want to go in. I shouldn't even brought that up.
We'll have to check. Just for clarification, 3 million from RDA, a match of 3 million from the casino, 3 million from the city, and the state would match that with 3 million.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And Ms. Alita, is it for 3 years that we have to, was it a 3-year deal or a 5-year deal that they agreed to
I'm
support?
thinking it was 3, but we'll have to double check.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, colleagues, 2024-70, this is, again, another ARPA ordinance respective to the new animal shelter facility. I do know that there was an amendment to this one that was just brought to us as well, so make sure that you have the amended ordinance in front of you. And our chief is going to do the overview. Everyone is ready? Okay, Chief Cannon.
All right, thank you, and good evening, President and other council members. Appreciate you here entertaining. This is an amended version that's going to be before you. The original ask was $1 million. The new ask is now $500,000. In the investigation still, in reference to how these dollars will be spent, we are leaning towards refurbishing the current location of the Animal Control Center, which will probably include a new structure in addition to the structure that's already there. There are a lot of things that have been considered in the current land and how it will be positioned. And so we are asking that it be amended in reference to that version with the $500,000 ask.
Thank you, Chief Cannon, so much. Colleagues, any questions, comments? Vice President Latham.
Thank you, President Atkins. I know the original ask was 1 million, and it's, but the new request is 500,000. I'm wondering if maybe we can work together to raise the rest even through private means. This is something I'm a little passionate about. So if there's an opportunity for me to work with you to see if there's another source for additional money to get what you need, I would like to do that.
Appreciate that, Councilwoman. The mayor's also has donors online that he's been speaking with. We don't have any firm commitments at this time, but we do have some very interested people that want to work with us. We also are in partnership with a nonprofit that we've been talking about. Hopefully we'll have an MOU signed by the beginning of the year, who's could be another charitable arm. So we're hoping to increase that number. But we do want to establish this 500,000 right here just to make sure that the city has the buy-in. And I think that that will lead to our donors and other philanthropy people to come in with us.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Cannon. Thank you, Vice President Latham. Any other questions or comments, colleagues? Oh, okay, I think we are good to go. Maybe. Give it a second. Yes, we're good to go.
All right, I'm sorry.
We're good to go?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Cannon. Okay, we'll move along on the program. Of course, we'll review that one again on Tuesday. CPO 2024-71, this is again the complementary appropriation ordinance for the same project ask. CPO 2024-73, this is respective to MVH, restricted funds. Is this our matching? MPH restricted funds. Okay, advising the appropriations for it. So 73. And colleagues, 73 was just brought to us. It should be, okay. Controller Green.
And the CPO 2024-73, we're asking for a transfer, and the transfer will be made from the 44 series to the 43 series, which is the capital outlay. Capital outlay was used for paving in the MVH, Motor Vehicle Highway Restricted Fund. We would like to move those funds, $978,315, to grants and subsidies. Once it's moved to grants and subsidies, it will provide a match to the Community Crossing Grant, which are the funds that we receive from NDOT for paving.
Thank you, Controller Green. Colleagues, any questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. CPO 2024-74, this is respective to the acceptance of the Community Crossings Grant. Right? Yes. So our city engineer going to give an overview, Mr. Allen?
Hello.
Hello.
So yes, this is accepting the grant that was awarded through Community Crossings in the amount of $978,315.
Okay, got it. So when we do the transfer that we just reviewed on 73, then that's our match.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions, comments, colleague? He doesn't know that at this time, right?
Pardon me?
The street list that we're gonna use.
Yeah, this is for 2024. 2025 is not known at this time, but I do have a list for 2024.
Okay. Let's run off the street list. I don't think that one was emailed to us. Just let us know the streets.
Okay, we
Is
have
either the streets that was already done?
yes. So I can go down the list of the streets if you want me to.
Okay.
So we have Central Avenue from MLK to Interstate 94. We have 24th Avenue from Colfax to Burr Street. 9th Avenue from Chase Street to Taft. 9th Avenue from Taft to Grant Street. Massachusetts Street from Ridge Road to 46th Avenue. William Street from 13th Avenue to 19th Avenue. Rhode Island Street from 34th Avenue to 35th Avenue. Rhode Island Street from US 12 to the dead end south. Oklahoma Street from 13th Avenue to 14th Avenue. And then Taney Street from 9th Avenue to 11th Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Again, these are streets that have already been done.
Yes.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Ivy.
for clarity, the number that you said was 978,315, and the ordinance says 215. Just want to clarify which number is correct.
315.
So we will need to, correct the ordinance, Madam President?
Yeah, they'll just amend it.
Okay.
And thank you, Councilwoman Ivy. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Allen. We'll move forward in the program. CPO 2024-77. This one is respective to additional appropriations for an ARPA reduction in appropriations. Oh, this goes with 76, right? We did not do 77. I stopped at 76 and didn't realize that this was the matching appropriation one for it.
On ordinance 2024-77, this is the appropriation part, where we are also cleaning up the appropriations. Any appropriations that were not used through this point, we are clawing those back, and we're redistributing them in some of the ordinances that you see now. So we have the public safety and premium pay. This was back from 2022. There was a shortage of $3,392,445. It was actually in the plan, but it was not appropriated. At some point, we should have come back to the council and asked to appropriate this part so that it matches the plan. So we have $3 million of it, and then we have premium pay of $160 that was not spent. Ames insurance of $346,941 not spent. The broadband for the council was not spent out of ARPA, it was spent out of another fund, so we have those available. The Gary Love Project, $46,000, and 6th and Howard for the Gary Sanitary District, $1.5 million. So we have $1,087,304.63 that was being used for the remainder of the ARPA projects that we would like to remove.
Thank you, Controller Green. Any additional questions or comments? Yes, Vice President Latham.
Thank you so much. The 6th and Howard project, is that because the money is coming from the Gary Sanitary District and not out of ARPA? Or is that project going away?
So that project is actually going away. The administration would like to use funding for a project that addresses the consent decree. So there would be an ordinance before you that addresses the consent decree. So this was removed and another one was added.
Any additional questions? Comments? Beautiful. Well, seeing none, we appreciate the members of the administration who supported this particular meeting tonight. All of these were reviewed on third and final. This upcoming meeting, which will be the last meeting of the Gary Common Council, Tuesday, December the 10th at 6 p.m. here in the council chamber. Thank you so much for joining. Councilman Barnes-Caldwell?
Mr. Allen, could you send us that list
Oh, yeah.
through an email of the streets? Because I couldn't write them all down.
Okay, yes, yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
send that to you.
Thank you. My apologies. I'm wondering if now that, or very soon, we'll have all of the ARPA money planned and appropriated, if our Department of Communications could work on a document that we might be able to distribute to the public.
So I'll specifically request like an infograph to be done with that information, more graphic than words. Council members in the past in our newsletters, we used a chart so that it could be easily identifiable in terms of the project and the amounts. And Councilwoman Latham, do you have a time period? Appropriation is going to be done on Tuesday. So the deadline is December 31st of this year for members of the public that we had to have all funding from ARPA actually appropriated. We do have, in fact, to December of 2026 to complete the projects, but the appropriations must be done. And so given that our last meeting is on Tuesday, that'd be it. So I'll throw a date out there. If we could ask the members of the administration to support, the infographic by maybe the 23rd of December.
Or earlier if possible, and I think it'll benefit everyone. Mr. Dalton is definitely going to run something on us spending all of our ARPA funds. I think so it's important that we get a message out about.
Even though other communities have already did theirs, we're late in the game. This isn't, we're late, right? So if the meeting is on the 10th, then maybe the 17th, that's a week.
Yeah, but as soon as possible, I think it's going to be.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Suggs. So you have agreed to try to abide by the 17th, a week out. Any other questions or comments? Very good. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. We look forward to you joining us on Monday. We do have the balance of those ARPA ordinances to review that are specifically for getting those appropriations done. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, our last meeting of the Gary Common Council will be on Tuesday, December the 10th, God willing. So we'll see you then. Take care.